权性，会进行特殊处理，还请见谅。首先是在新的 Joycon 上，左右2个手柄的底部都会有特控背部出现了一个横向按压的，把 Joycon 拆卸后才能看到的 SL 和 SR 键也改成了非常大的按钮。暂不确定这4个按键会不会都是线性扳机，又或者都只是。
Okay, I guess. Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games, and I feel like I am living in a time loop. I feel like things never move forward. I feel like we keep talking about the exact same thing over and over again as a community, and I think I'm at my breaking point. So this morning, we had a supposed leak of the Switch 2 Joy-Con. Now, whether or not you want to believe it's real or not, that is up to you. However, I just feel like we've done this exact same thing like 4 times in the past 3 months. How many times can we get excited over the design of Joy-Con that look almost identical to the current Switch? It's just like, how many times is this going to happen? You know, I personally, I'll say this right off the bat, I don't think this is real. I think these look 3D printed. They do show in the video here, it's blurred for some reason, but you can kind of see in the background there them detaching it from the Switch with a little bit more force. So I guess I would imply maybe it's real because it has the magnets and that's how they detach from the Switch 2. But even if it is real, who cares? It's just Joy-Con. If they were, like, vastly different, okay, then sure. But these look identical to the Switch OLED Joy-Con, the white Switch OLED Joy-Con, which I guess that in of itself, I would say also indicates that this isn't real in my opinion, because I really, really doubt that Nintendo will make the Switch 2 Joy-Con the exact same color as their last release model. That just seems very unlikely to me. I don't buy into the whole colored button theory that a lot of people have been yapping about for a couple years now, but I don't think they would make it the exact same color scheme as the previous Joy-Con. That doesn't, I don't know, that feels weird to me, especially when like they aren't the same size, because we know from the, or we think from the leaks are a little bit bigger. I don't think they would make them the same size, but either way, even if this is real, even if this is fake, it's like, how many times do we got to do this, man? I am excited for the Switch 2. I cannot wait for the Switch 2. I've made very many videos covering the Switch 2 on this channel. I try to cover as much other Nintendo news as there is when it comes. But, what are we doing here? So this video was posted on Bilibili, which I believe is like a Chinese social media kind of YouTube type thing. And on the comment section here, you know, it's funny, I talked about this in a video last week, I believe, where there was a different rumor about like Switch 2 shipment sizes or something. And it feels like people are way more willing to believe just a baseless rumor if the person is Chinese. Like if you are not American, even if you're talking in broken English or actually translating it to a different language, I feel like people are just way more eager to believe you than if you're just like if I posted on Reddit in my, you know, proper English. I feel like even like with Midori earlier this year, pretending to be a Japanese girl, like people are just so much more eager to believe things if it's not in their first language for some reason, which is really weird to me. But we have this comment section here. So this person says, now many news say that it will be released in January and released in March. Is it true or false? That's kind of been the hot talking points as of late. I didn't make a video on it, but there was new shipping data suggesting I think 800,000 of the NVIDIA Tiger chip were manufactured or shipped in September or something along those lines, which to me, that actually does really heavily indicate a first half of 2025 release. If that is true, I think we are definitely looking at a first half of 2025 release. I don't think Nintendo would, especially if you think about it like, okay, 800,000 of those chips in September, are they going to go down in October, in November, in December, in January, and March? No, I think they would keep ramping up. So I think a March, April, May release actually really is lining up here. But we just kind of see some chatter between these users here that I guess was enough to warrant being added to this post, saying the production volume for March release is not enough. Revealing in January is no longer possible because of, the Taipei International Game Show. This is so stupid. I didn't talk about this either. Nintendo put out an email. I guess there's this Taipei Game Show, and they said one of Nintendo's like smaller regional Twitter accounts had made a post being like, hey, we're not going to show the Switch 2 successor or the Switch successor at this game show. Please don't look for any information about that there, as they've been doing on a lot of our posts here in America and in Europe and stuff like that. So a lot of people were taking that to mean like, oh, well, that means it can't be announced in January, because why would they say that if it's not going to be there? Guys, they can announce the console in January. and not have it at the Taipei International Gaming Show. That's totally possible. People were really leading into that. I didn't make a video about it because I was like, this is not video worthy. But yeah, just kind of reading along here. Mario 68 Luigi Up says, mass production has already started. I mentioned it in the September and October videos. I've been following it. This time I said that the production and the stocking volume cannot be achieved by March. So contrary to what we are hearing about the 800 Tegra trips in September, this person is kind of saying like, well, maybe March is a little too soon. We'll probably be waiting until May or June at the earliest to play this thing, which, you know, believe what you want to believe at this point. I don't think any of this is real, though, to be completely honest. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today in today's video. Going back to the actual Joy-Con themselves leaking, guys, I feel like I'm in a time loop. What is happening? We've done the same song and dance before. We did it in October. We did it in September. I think there was actually a different leak in September, or sorry, in November that I didn't talk about. Not that one. Where is it? There was this one right here. These like 3D model images of it leaked supposedly, and people were, you know, talking about it, making videos about it. Everyone's going crazy about it. And I'm just looking at this and I'm like, I mean, yeah, that's a Switch. It has the U-shaped kickstand that we've heard about from the leaks. That's cool, I guess. But overall, it's just like, I don't know, man. Who cares? We had this leak back in September when we all thought it was going to be announced on September 19th, kind of showing off all these different various 3D models, like the CAD files and stuff like that. This one was a little bit more substantial. I made a video about this because that at the time was like the first major like 3D model leak I believe we had for this thing, and then that I believe it was a Chinese YouTuber made a video with her kind of 3D printed version of it based on these files, which is really cool. And we talked about that, of course. But the more important thing here was like the supposed spec sheet for this console, as well as the fact that there would be a built-in microphone. I think that is very intriguing. So like there are instances of leaks like this that are interesting, and we're talking about, even if this ends up being fake or whatever, right? Like it's still like, okay, oh, it has a built-in microphone. What could that mean? Let's talk about it. But when you see a video like this, I'm just like, I mean, okay, why are we still doing this? I feel like, listen, I expected the Switch 2 to be announced in September or October. I do still think it's releasing in the first half of next year. But I still see people saying, like, it was supposed to come out this year. Nintendo delayed the reveal. It's still getting announced in December. It's getting announced at the Game Awards. And I'm just like, guys, we need to take the L. Collectively, we need to take the L. It was never coming out this year, first of all. If you think it was supposed to release alongside Echoes of Wisdom and Brothership and Mario Party, delusion. That thing was never slated to come out this year. And if you think it's getting announced this year, my guy, it's a December 2nd. It's not getting announced this year. There's no point even talking about it because that is such a silly idea that, like, no. Could it be announced in early January? Maybe not the first week of January, but certainly by like week 2, week 3. Does the Taipei International Gaming Show and them saying that the Switch 2 won't be there hurt the chances of a reveal in January 2025? No, it doesn't, because of the freaking Taipei International Gaming Show. I don't think that branch of Nintendo is important enough to, like, really even know, probably, quite frankly. So I think that was just them getting ahead, being like, hey, it's not going to be at this game show. It's not going to be physically at this event. Could it be announced before then, and, you know, we'll know about it? Absolutely. Maybe that is telling, though. Maybe we won't see it until March or February. I think that's also possible. I mean, especially if it is a second half release next year, we won't see it until March. I think that's a given. But if it's releasing by June at the latest, then yeah, we'll see it in January, I assume. I don't know, man. I just feel like there's so much to talk about in terms of video games constantly. The fact that every couple weeks it loops back to a fake 3D printed Joy-Con, it's a little frustrating, I gotta be honest, because it's like, I think part of it comes from the fact that so many people hopped on the Switch 2 or Switch Pro bandwagon so early in the Switch generation that, like, every talking point, every meaningful discussion that could be had about, like, predicting future Nintendo hardware has already been made 8 times, you know? Like, we're done. We've had every discussion that there is to be had. We just need to see it. So when I keep seeing people discuss the same things over and over, and I'm not saying I'm not guilty of it, right? Like I'm totally guilty of talking about the Switch 2 a little bit more than I should have. I do it a lot less than a lot of other people, but when you see these same discussion topics over and over and over again, day after day, week after week. It's like, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's talk about, I think this week I'm going to do a video on whether or not this year was like a good year for Nintendo. Not talking about the Switch 2, just talking about like games released this year. Obviously, you know, Mario & Luigi Brothers Ship just released, and I made a lot of videos on that as it was releasing on both my channels. Game Awards are coming up. I talk about, like, you know, well, I know that's like, that one's kind of like beating a dead horse, like, oh, well, Metroid be at the Game Awards, but at least it's not Switch 2. Good lord. This is just like a throwing nothing into a void. I will make more Switch 2 videos when there are substantial Switch 2 things to talk about, but as it stands, if this is the current state of Switch 2 speculation, it's like, man, we are in a rough spot for our next couple of weeks here. But like I said, I do think it'll be announced in January, probably, and we'll have a lot to look forward to then. And then once it's announced, you know, the floodgates open. We can start talking about the games we see in the reveal trailer, predicting when games will be announced in more kind of specific detail. But I don't know, man. As it stands, I think December is going to be a wash for Nintendo discussion for a lot of people, because Nintendo's not going to say anything, I don't think. I mean, maybe, like I said, maybe at the Game Awards we'll have something worth talking about. But otherwise, if we're just going to keep getting the basically the same leaks over and over, I'm tapping out, man. Go check out my other channel, It's Amiibo, for more opinionated like game review stuff and like collecting stuff. Because as it stands, man, this is dire. Like we as a community, we are in a dire situation when it comes to speculating and hoping for this console. It'll be revealed when it's revealed. Let's all take a step back. Let's just wait and maybe stop talking about it for a little bit.